Right, this is prep to get you guys ready for the coffee table design project. So I've deliberately done coffee tables because essentially they are 2-point perspective boxes that have been kind of redesigned. First of all those who are using rulers, time to stop. So unfortunately, as much as you're saying, but I need the ruler to draw, can't say that anymore, because if you want to have a chance of getting any form of endorsement next year for the subject, freehand sketching is the standard that dictates it. So I'm just going to zoom in a little bit. Right. So what we should be able to do now is not need to put the points on, and we can just sketch and guess and judge our proportions. So as we go from here, now I can choose what I want to do to my table design. So if I just want to make it quite simple and standard, then take that across, judge that proportion, obviously a little bit smaller in the distance. Okay, all those box exercises we did at the start of the year, this is where they will kind of come to pay off, because it helps you judge proportions in 2-point perspective to see whether they're even when they're further away in perspective. Okay, this is a pretty standard table, so in terms of design, there's really not a lot in it, but you got to start somewhere. Okay, that's a coffee table. From here we can start adding and changing and modifying bits and pieces. So if I'm saying, right, I want to take a corner off, just to make it look a little bit different, and I'll do it consistently in a few places. So judge that proportion, take that down to about there, take that across to there, there. Okay, that height across, that across to there. So as you can see, when I'm starting to take all this stuff across, it helps keep everything symmetrical, which is really the hardest part of a design. And what you're going to find is that when you say, oh, I don't know how to make this look the same, I just can't get them both looking the same. This is why the construction and using the 2-point perspective comes in handy. Okay, it's invaluable really as a tool to do these kind of things. So now we can rub these bits out here. Okay, there is a coffee table. I'm just going to go just kind of tidy up the line work just to make it stand out a bit. Right, that is pretty simple. I just rub them out a bit so it doesn't kind of look like it's part of the table when it's not. There you go, there's a coffee table design done. Now, I know that's not terribly amazing and creative. You can start going around and adding more details if you want to do it. So if you want to say there's a kind of like a glass top or something on it, then this is where you can go around and add those details. Okay, now it's got a top on it. Alright, simple as that. So we'll just zoom back out and we'll start another one. So as you can see, the whole table here, probably not a good idea to start in the center of the page. I'm expecting you guys to do about 6 or 7 sketches per page. So I'll start another one down here. I don't need to put these points in again. I should be able to just sketch a box knowing that things are shrinking and use it as a starting point from my perspective. So practice makes perfect, so all we can do is hope to get better. Okay, if your ideas aren't amazing, don't roll them out, keep them. Okay, this all helps you produce different ideas. If every time you draw an idea that's not perfect, you rub it out, what you're going to find is you're going to end up with 2 ideas after drawing 30. Okay, I'm asking for you guys to have a creative range of ideas, and it's really hard to keep track of what different ideas you've had when you've rubbed them all out. Also, it's very hard to be creative when you're negative, really negative towards your own ideas. Okay, always try and look for the positives. Okay, it's simplistic, it's tidy, it's going to work well. The corners being taken on gives it a different visual interest. Okay, I'll tell you what, I'm going to take this cornering aspect and I'm going to apply it to a different design and see how it works and see if it gives a different dynamic. Okay, because I think there's potential there, it just maybe not be executed in the best possible way in this sketch. So that's what I'm going to do down here now. So start again. So already you can see things are shrinking towards perspective point. You can see these here are getting closer. So if these lines are getting closer, they're in 2-point perspective. If these lines are getting further away, this is when something goes astray. So this is where you could say, I don't need the points. I can kind of imagine one point looks like it's going to be here. This point for over here is going to be kind of probably there or just outside the page. Okay? Okay, I'm just going to make this one slightly taller. Right, okay, not quite constructed perfect, this line's not quite straight, but it's the construction. Okay, we're going to rub it out and work with it. So I said I wanted to work with this cornering aspect. So I'm going to show you now with a little bit of extra construction, how you can use an idea like that and make it work. So I'm going to make the box see-through. So I can see essentially if that's the top surface and then it was brought down to the floor, that's where it should be. So if I take that down, I've missed terribly, so I'll just do that. Okay. Right, now that we've done that, what I'm wanting to do is I'm actually wanting to take the top shape and then shrink it down to a smaller one to make kind of like an upside down pyramid with the top cut off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shrink it down like that, and I'm going to say, right, that same distance there, I want roughly the same proportion for down there. Okay. Same for that. Okay. Now I can go say there, there to there, and it's just really connecting the dots. Okay, that's going to be virtually a straight line, that's fine. With the construction, you know if it's supposed to be a straight line, it looks right. Without the construction, you're thinking, oh, it doesn't quite look right, I'm not sure, and then you change it and you can't quite get it to look right because you're not sure what it's actually supposed to look like. Sometimes when I'm doing my perspective stuff, I can tell something's going to look a little bit off, but if I leave the construction in lightly, it's going to make it look correct. It's going to look like, well, that's obviously where the line had to go because I can see how it's been constructed out. So leaving in some of this construction deliberately, okay, maybe lighten it up, but it's going to give the viewer the idea that, okay, yep, that makes sense, that has been done correctly. Right, so, okay, that there, fine. So I'll just show you what I would tend to rub out. I would actually, what I tend to do is I just rub it out and leave it in lightly still, so I don't completely get rid of it. Okay, that's a table. Is there anything kind of amazing about it? I'm sure some of you guys are thinking, actually, that looks pretty good. Well, in terms of detailing, I can do more things with it. I can put drawers in it. That was part of what the brief said, that it need to have some form of storage space in it. So, I mean, that's easy enough to do. What we can do is we could make this a flip type lid, we could make it that it slides apart. I like the idea of slides apart actually now that I say that, so what I'm going to do is shrink that down. Okay, at center, take that across to the perspective. Okay, that doesn't really tell anyone that it slides apart. There's two ways you can do this. You can draw the same thing again next to it with it open, or if you're kind of thinking, I really can't be bothered doing all that drawing, what I tend to draw is some 3D arrows because it helps communicate exactly what's happening. Okay, and these little dashes that obviously help communicate movement. Okay, so if I've got the arrows there and it says opens next to it, I'm pretty sure that is going to be pretty clear in terms of a sketch. The idea is that you're sketching, okay, the subject is called Design and Visual Communication. I know it's constantly referred to as graphics, but if you look at NZQA, that's what the subject's called. So what that's trying to say is that you are visually communicating detail and information through our sketching. We are visually communicating, right? So that's where it comes from. So what I shouldn't need to do is have you write a book, like some annotations to write a story about what it does, and so that way I can go, oh, now I've read the story, now I understand this. It should be, I look at this, I understand it, and when you write some notes, you're writing about your idea, whether you like it or not. I can't tell whether you like it or not. I can tell what it looks like, and I should be able to tell roughly what it does. So if you write a note and say, I have made a coffee table that gets smaller at the bottom, I'm like, yes, I've got eyes, I can see that. Tell me something I don't know. So you tell me about what you think about it, whether you like it or not. What aspects do you think work well? Okay, maybe some other ideas that you want to explore, as I discussed with this one. Okay, I found the idea quite standard, but I like the idea of this kind of angling from the corners, and I thought I might try it in a different aspect to give a kind of a different feel with the proportions. There you go, there it is. Right, so I will zoom out again and we'll try another one. Okay, we're going to go for something a little bit more curved now, because I know most of you boys are going, well, this is easier for boxes and straight lines, but how's it going to work if I'm going to be doing curves? Well, it works just the same. Okay, it helps you map things out, helps you keep things proportionate. Okay, I just stopped to sharpen my pencil, so make sure that you guys keep sharpening your pencils, otherwise you're going to get these fat, ugly lines. Right, so I'm just going to one thing I'm trying to do is trying to make all your sketches the same size. What's going to happen is the page is going to look quite boring and it's going to look quite blocky. It's not going to have anything kind of stand out and kind of have any dynamic on the page. So if you can, try and vary the sizes, vary the angles a little bit as well. So kind of how high up the perspective point it is, etc. Just to kind of give some kind of visual appeal. Right, so curved. Let's think about this. So most of you going, well, do I curve it down this way? Do I have a curve in there? You can. You can always do a curve in there and then put a glass top on it's flat. Okay, a coffee table is simply a lower surface that is flat